This is my rule. If you can use less microphones and get what you need, that's what you do, because the sound will be better. I guarantee it. Problem is most engineers feel like, well, I've got a major studio, I'm in Capitol Records, and they've got all these great mics, and I've got a performance from this band that's good, maybe a one-of-a-kind performance, and I better capture it properly, because if I don't, it's my job on the line. So he pulls out all the mics thinking, oh, later I'll decide what sounds better. Or if I don't need it, at least I have it. No harm in having it. If you don't need it, you can mute it and not use it. And that's a great thought until you get to the mix, and then even if you think you're going to mute something, you end up using it anyway, just because you think it's going to make it sound better. And you end up really sort of inadvertently harming the sound of what you're trying to capture. But you get much better imaging, much better sound quality if you can get a sound with one microphone, but get it properly recorded. That means balanced. That's the simple technique of the close miking. But making sure your drum is tuned properly, that means it resonates properly, that means it doesn't have any weird frequency that rings. But an acoustic guitar has the same issue, the exact same issue as a drum kit, is if you've got your acoustic guitar, generally speaking, right where the body meets the neck, aiming at the E string in that region with a cardioid microphone, you pick up a little bit of this side and a little bit of that side, and you put it about 6-8 inches away from the guitar with a condenser microphone, and you're going to have great luck. One microphone, and it'll sound great. It'll sound just like an acoustic guitar. Then again, you also have to be aware, and I didn't mention this with the drums, what type of drum, what size drum, what manufacturer for the acoustic guitar. You mic up a guitar that's boomy, you have to put the mic in a different place. If you're recording a very bright guitar, you put it in a different place. And it's all based upon knowing what positions are going to make it sound what way. And experiment by moving it and listening. If I'm going to record a bright guitar, I'll just move the mic a little closer to the hole where it's a little darker and a little boomier. If I have a dark guitar that's really boomy, I'm going to stay away from the hole and move a little more towards the fretting board. Well, I'm trying to reach the optimum balance that makes the guitar sound like what it sounds like in the room. That's really important to me. But then again, some people, they want a specific sound that works in their mix, but I try to make an acoustic guitar sound like the guitar that's being played. I mean, that's a good starting point at least. Same thing with a drum. Kick drum is also a really interesting sound element because it's big. And because it's big, it generates low frequencies, which mean that they're long wavelengths. So let's just pretend this is our kick drum, and this is our front head and our back head. And the beater, you can use a plastic side or a felt side. You flip it around, it's usually softer than one side or the other. And depending on the drummer and how he plays and what he likes, he'll use whatever he chooses. But if it needs to have a lot of attack, then you need a plastic beater. If you want a rounder kick, more of a boom kick, use the felt side. If he plays it where he kicks and holds the beater against the head, as he kicks, he holds it down, it'll stop the resonation of that head. If he takes and just hits it and pulls away, then this thing bounces off of the head. It makes it boomier, more like an 808 drum machine sound versus a thump kind of a kick sound. It'll be more like a boom sound. I mean, there's a ton of techniques for playing these things that make it sound different, but how do you mic it is the question, right? Well, if you mic it out in the front head, that's one sound. I don't like that sound. So I'll generally, up in this area, cut, say, the size of a coffee can hole, and I'll put my microphone in, and then if I want to get more of the beater, I'll put it about 2 inches away from the front head and get it real close in, so I'm miking where the beater hits the head, so I get a lot of attack. But the resonation of the big shell is where you get the bottom frequencies. I'll sometimes twist it to where the head meets the shell. So I'm getting a little bit of the wood of the shell and a little bit of the head. And so I'm picking up a little bit of the beater slap and a little bit of the head. So you can twist it as much or as little as you want. Pull it back into the drum more. You get more of the resonation of the shell. So it's really where you place the microphone. And the further back you get, the more boomy it gets. The closer to the beater you get, the more attack you get. The more you point it at the shell, the more resonation of the wood you get. And it's about where you place it based upon what kind of sound you're looking for. If I'm looking for a very R&B kind of sound, I'll pull it back and maybe go mid-drum or back a little further than that. So I still get a little bit of the beater, but I get mostly the resonation and the thickness of the drum. If I'm working with a metal band and I need a lot of attack on the kick drum, I'll put it right at the beater and get the real attack out of the drum. A lot of it has to do with what kind of music you're working with, but also understanding that mic positions really do matter, and the closer you are to various sound sources and where those sound sources are and what they sound like is what you'll get mostly in the microphone. Stands to reason. So pretend the microphone is your ear. Not that you can put your ear inside the drum, but you can imagine what it's like. You're listening to a piano, get close and listen on both sides. So all of these techniques are used based upon what you want. And that's up to you guys and the musical style, obviously.